Hi librarians, my name is Charlie Lovett and you might know me as the author of The Bookman's Tale or First Impressions. I want to thank you for your great support of my first two novels and also to tell you about my upcoming Christmas book. It's called The Further Adventures of Ebenezer Scrooge and it will be published by Viking on October 20th. I've always loved Christmas books, from my childhood copy of The Grinch to my much loved first edition of The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. But I think we can all agree that as Christmas stories go, none has been more enduring than Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol was published in 1843, coincidentally the same year that the first ever Christmas card appeared. Charles Dickens lived another 27 years. He wrote many more Christmas stories, but he never told us what happened to Scrooge after Christmas 1843. But what if Dickens had written a sequel? What if he picked up the story of Ebenezer Scrooge 20 years later on a hot summer's day in London? That was the question that led to my writing The Further Adventures of Ebenezer Scrooge. Not only is the book a story about Dickens' most famous character, it's also written in the style of Dickens. I'll be honest, I even borrowed a sentence here and there, and once in a while a paragraph, from Dickens. I guess you could say The Further Adventures of Ebenezer Scrooge is part parody, part pastiche, and part brand new story. Above all, I hope the book is a loving tribute to Dickens' original. You don't have to have read A Christmas Carol to enjoy Scrooge's further adventures, but I think lovers of Dickens will have an especially good time with the book. Do you remember how A Christmas Carol begins? It starts like this. Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade. And now, if you'll indulge me for just a moment, I'll read you the opening of The Further Adventures of Ebenezer Scrooge. Scrooge was alive to begin with. There could be no doubt whatever about that. Alive and kicking. Not that I know why that particular verb should exemplify life. For Scrooge's part, it might better be said that he was alive and singing, or alive and laughing, or alive and generally making a nuisance of himself. I like to think that when we first meet Scrooge in 1843, he's a very old 60. And in 1863, when he reappears in my book, it is a very young 80. The opening of the book finds Scrooge traipsing around London on the hottest day of the year, wishing everyone he meets a Merry Christmas, much to their annoyance. But a visit from the ghost of his old friend Jacob Marley lends grave importance to Scrooge's spreading of Christmas cheer. And by the end of the book, well, let's just say that when people stop the old man in the street, it's to say, "God bless you, Mr. Scrooge," to which he, of course, replies, "God bless us, everyone." I hope you and your clients will enjoy The Further Adventures of Ebenezer Scrooge for many Christmases to come. I've had so many wonderful comments from my library readers. It makes me happy to be able to send them this little Christmas card, and to wish them and you a very Merry Christmas.